Hello everybody, I'm 4040 and today we are going to have a look at how we can modify No Man's Sky. So this is going to be a few simple steps, but it is a relatively simple process. Shortly put, it's just a case of downloading the correct files and dropping it into the correct folder. And I'm going to take you through these simple steps. So first of all, you need to go to a website. This is nomanskymods.com, which is just here. Or go to Nexus. Nexus Mods has a load of No Man's Sky mods, and have a look through. There are a lot of mods for No Man's Sky, and there's all kinds of different ways you can sort them, and you just pick out ones that you like the look of. So, for example, Low Flight by High-Tech. This is going to allow you, like you saw in the trailers, but not actually in the game, you're able to fly into the ground, very close to the ground. It makes it much more of a cinematic experience. Now, a lot of these mods, like Low Flights, they always should be a PAK file. See down there? If it's not a PAK file or PAK file, you don't want that mod. It makes it a lot more complex because you have to go into the actual game files. We don't want that. We just want a PAK file that we can drop into the right folder and it is done. Now, some mods, you do need to be a little bit careful. Some mods do modify very certain files, and so they do warn you that they're incompatible with any mods that do so as well. So it's just something to be aware of, just something to be mindful of if you are downloading a lot of mods, just to keep track of which mods interact with which files. So once you've downloaded whichever mod you like, you want to go and find your No Man's Sky folder to drop them in. So the best way to do it is to click on No Man's Sky in Properties. You want to go to Local Files, and you want to go to Browse Local Files, and this will pull up the files for No Man's Sky. Otherwise, you'd have to go and find this yourself, and it just makes it a lot easier. So once you're in the files, you want to go to the Game Data folder, and then first thing that you want to do is go into the shader cache folder, this folder here. If I show you that again, it's shader cache. Delete this folder. Delete the entirety of this folder. This is not a troll. These are the temporary shaders folder that the game generates every single time the game is launched. But to save on loading times, the game doesn't always refresh this list, and if you're putting mods in that change the shader files, and most of the mods will do to some degree, you'll find your mod just doesn't work, or there's bits of it that are broken because the game's not updated the shaders file. So all you do is delete its entire contents, and the game will regenerate these at the launch of the next game. It might take 5-10 seconds longer to run the game, but once you delete them once and it regenerates them automatically, you don't need to worry about it again. But every time you put a new mod in, you have to delete the contents of this file. Do not delete the file, you delete the contents of the file. That's very, very important. Okay, so you've deleted the contents of the shader cache. Next, you want to take your mod PAK file and put it inside of the PC banks folder. Now the mods should always have a underscore before the mod, which means that the mod will load before all of the other files within the game, which means that it will run properly. If it doesn't have an underscore, the game will order it however it likes it, and the mod will modify somehow some of these work, and if it loads the wrong way round, it will not work. Now this underscore guarantees that it will always load first. Now as a piece of advice, you always keep an eye on what you've got installed. Now a lot of these have got a description. These three have got a description, but some of the mods, some of them have rather bland file names exactly like these, when they've just got like a number and stuff associated with them. You need to keep an eye on these mods just in case you don't like it and you want to delete it, or the game gets updated and the mod becomes redundant. You just want to go into this file and you want to just delete the mod that is not working for you, And the best way to keep track of that is to know which mods are which, and if you need to make a note of it, go ahead and make a note of it, because it is simple just to come back into this folder and just delete the mod. There shouldn't be any problems. Your game should still play. So now we've dropped these mods in here, that's all you need to do. That's all you have to do is take the mods and drop them into, paste them into PC Banks and delete the contents of the shader cache. So once you've done that, you're pretty much ready to run the game. There's nothing else for you to have to do. So I'm going to fire up the game and I'm going to show you some of the mods that I've got installed. I've got the Big Things mod pack, which makes things, changes things sizes, makes plants more lush looking. I've got Immersive Space pack, which changes the backdrop of the game when you're in space, so it's not just this hazy kind of different colours. The Busiest Space pack puts more NPCs up in space, and there's more NPCs flying around. And the Low Flight pack allows me to pilot my ship a lot closer to the ground. So we're going to show off a few of these mods, but that really is it. It is that easy to modify the game. You just drop them into that one file. Very easy. Anyway, we'll see you in the game, and I'll show off some of the mods for a little bit. Oh, we are back in the game, and already you can see that there's some particularly large rocks hanging around. These things are absolutely massive, and you see those big plants on the horizon. I'm just going to climb this this little hill here, and well, you can see these large plants hanging around. See these things with the flowers on top just there? They're exactly the same. They've scaled up versions of these little guys down here, which is part of the Big Things mod. And it makes the this particular mods makes the, well, it's quite a sparsely wooded, but woodlands become a lot more thick, a lot more luscious. Even if it's just a few cactus, rather than just being a few little cactuses here and there, they become really big. But it doesn't just work on the cactus, it also works on the rocks. You get really nice formations of rocks just kind of hanging around. It does not, that I know of, or at least have noticed, scale the resource collection from it, so it doesn't unbalance the game when it comes to resource collecting, but it does make the game look a lot more pretty. Now let's see, if I can't really see any contrail tails. There might not be any NPCs hanging around this particular planet. But yeah, if you look up, it's not just like a yellow mist. We've got lots of nice stars, and we're going to go up into orbit. If I've got enough fuel, we're going to go up and into orbit. Okay, so we're going to try taking off. Launch at 20%. Now you notice that I can get very close to the ground. Yep, and then bang off it. So I'm going to go up. So this is allowing me to fly very close to the ground. This is the low flying mod. It allows you to hover as well. So I'm going to fly up into space. Come on. There we go. Find my pulse engine. And I'm going to drop out of space. Here we go. So this is a really nice demonstration of the additional NPCs mod. You can see there's a whole load of freighters here where there's normally would only be a few, maybe. Now there's a whole load of freighters, and it makes space a lot busier. Ow. It makes space a lot busier, but these are just normal NPCs. They're just doing their thing, and they're pretty interesting, to be honest. And if you notice, the background colours as well have been completely changed. At the moment, we're just looking at a lovely story field with like a nebula in the background. It does keep the kind of like the primary colours, but it makes it more spacey feeling. So when the game's palette is designed, it's designed with randomly generates the colours so they all match each other, and it looks very pretty. Well, this keeps that. We've got a nice red blush of a nebula off in the distance with different clouds, and the planets are all kind of the same colours, but it keeps the black, and it does like tweak the lighting a little bit, which is very, very cool. So we're going to go back down onto the planet. I'm going to run away from the hostile ships. I'm going to go back to where the ruin is. But that is just a little quick look at for the 4 mods I've got, which is the additional NPCs. There's a lot more NPCs around, flying around. Makes space look a lot more lived in, a lot more busier, rather than a very lonely experience. The graphical mod I've got for space makes it just look nicer. I'm not going to go with the words more accurate, but it definitely makes it look more pleasing to my eye. And we've got the big things mod, where things like forests and cactuses and rocks and mineral resources have a chance of spawning in at a greatly increased size. And I've been on a couple of worlds which are forest worlds. Now, forest worlds, usually, you know, there's a few trees everywhere, but it doesn't give you that sense of being inside of a giant jungle and there being a canopy. But with the big things mod, especially with forests, it makes that forest more foresty. You end up with a giant canopy that spreads across the entire planet that you've got to come down and through and carefully navigate through, and then you land and you're completely surrounded by huge trees, and you really do feel like you're perhaps somewhere like Endor with these massive trees just stretching out above your head. So that mod I am very, very much enjoying. I'm not currently using any mods that change the game balance. I'm tempted with one of the mods which allows you to stack more things in your inventory. So many outposts and things I'm just passing over as well. This place is chock-a-block with outposts and stuff. So I haven't put any massive game-changing things in. I've just done things that change it graphically, make it more interesting to me. And the low flight, again, is something that I really wanted to be able to do. So you could do like low passes over the ground and be able to do almost like canyon runs, which you can't do in the normal game. It won't let you do that. You're stuck to a specific height. Whereas now I can fly very, very low. There is a minor bug to do with taking damage. But are you going to land? Nope, doesn't like it. What's below me? Okay, there's a plant below me. That makes sense. The landing zone isn't clear. There we go. So with this bug, it allows with this mod, it allows you to look up and down and look around. So I found this mod to be particularly pleasing, with the ability to fly your ship around and get a good look at things and almost circle strafe things and check things out before you need to move on. It gives you a lot more freedom. Also gives you the freedom to be able to plough straight into the ground, and the way that the ships, the way they are modelled and the way they take damage basically means that they are made out of tinfoil. But that aside, I think these mods are a good addition for me. Whether you think differently as a player, as you find your own mods, but it is as simple as just dropping them into the file, and it just works. You just got to remember to delete the files, the shader cache files, and then to drop the mod folder into the PC Banks folder, and the mod folders have to be PAK files. Okay guys, I hope you've all enjoyed this, and we'll be seeing you in the next episode, guys. Bye now.